The old house loomed over them, dark and silent, daring them. They called it Blackwood Manor. No one had lived there for decades. Stories whispered of strange noises, shadows moving in the night. Local kids dared each other to spend 5 minutes inside. No one ever lasted. Tonight was different. Tonight, a group of friends, led by the fearless or foolish Jake, were determined to conquer the house.
Come on, guys, we got this.
There was Emily, the skeptic, always ready with a sarcastic remark.
Yeah, sure, Jake. This is going to be a blast.
Ben, the quiet one who preferred observing to acting.
I don't know about this.
And finally, there was Chris. Nervous but unwilling to appear scared in front of his friends.
Let's just get it over with.
They approached the house, each step filled with growing dread. The porch creaked ominously under their weight. A low wind rustled through the overgrown bushes, sounding like whispered warnings. Jake, putting on a brave face, kicked open the front door, its rotten wood splintering easily. The air inside was heavy, thick with dust and the smell of decay. Cobwebs clung to every surface, and the only light came from the moon shining through broken windows. A shiver ran down Chris's spine. He had a bad feeling. The house was a maze of dark hallways and empty rooms. Each room seemed to hold the remnants of forgotten lives. A dusty crib, a cobweb-covered grandfather clock frozen in time. The silence was broken only by their own footsteps and the occasional creak of the aging house.
See nothing here.
Jake said, trying to sound brave, but even his voice wavered. They descended deeper into the house, eventually finding a set of stairs leading down to a basement.
Maybe we should turn back.
Ben mumbled, his voice barely audible. But Jake, emboldened by a false sense of bravado, was already halfway down the stairs. The basement was pitch black, the air thick and heavy. Chris tripped on something, sending a shiver up his leg.
Whoa, what was that?
The basement was an eerie place, filled with an unsettling silence that seemed to amplify their every movement. The air grew colder as they approached the far end of the basement. There, in the middle of the wall, was a door, boarded up, almost hidden in the darkness. It seemed to pulse with an unseen energy.
Don't go near it.
Chris whispered, a sense of dread gripping him. He could feel something emanating from the door, something dark and sinister.
Scared, Chris?
Jake taunted, moving towards the door. He ran his hand over the rough wood.
What do you think is behind it?
He asked, his voice a mocking whisper. Before anyone could answer, he started ripping the boards off the door.
Stop it, Jake.
Chris yelled, but it was too late. With a groan, the door swung open, revealing a swirling vortex of colors. Chris felt a hand on his shoulder, pulling him back, but it was too late for him. He was already being sucked towards the swirling abyss. He landed hard, the breath knocked out of him. He was in a place devoid of color, a grey, featureless landscape stretching endlessly in all directions. The air was heavy, making it difficult to breathe. Panic welled up inside him. He was alone. Back in the basement, his friends stared in horror at the empty doorway. The swirling colors were gone, the door now just an empty frame.
Where did he go?
They didn't know it yet, but something had crossed over from that door, something that wore Chris's face, but with a cruel twist to its smile. Days turned into weeks. Chris's friends and family searched, but he was gone without a trace. They never spoke of the boarded-up door, the memory too painful to bear. Meanwhile, the thing that had emerged from the door in Chris's place began to weave its web of darkness. It spread lies and deceit, turning friends against each other. The once vibrant Chris was now a shell, filled with something dark and malicious. But deep within that grey void, Chris was aware. He could see everything, feel everything the imposter did. And the more love and acceptance this dark reflection received, the weaker Chris felt, the further away freedom became. He was trapped in a horrifying reflection of his own life, forced to watch as everything he held dear crumbled before his eyes. And he knew with a sinking heart that even if he ever escaped this place, he would be forever marked by the actions of his twisted other self. There would be no happy reunion, no return to normalcy, only the heavy burden of consequence.